At first, I was a little concerned about having something to say. My oldest daughter, Venecia, was insisting that I should speak in front of you guys. She said, "You do have something to say." And then I thought, yes, sure, I have a lot to say, not just a little. And then I was concerned about the 2-minute limit. So I'm sorry if I go over a little about the time, but certainly I do have a lot to say about Father Watson's job. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself, because in the end, it's a true example of unconditional love. And of course, it's a true example of how one person might have gone through a different direction and then turned out to be a good citizen, at least. Okay? About 39 years ago, I'm 46, about 39 years ago, my father and my mother died, tragically, both died. We were 6 in my family, we were 6 siblings. And of course, nobody would want to take 6 kids, young kids who can't do anything but eat, you know. So we were separated. Some of our parents took some of us, and we were divided. I had to stay with my grandmother. But we were taken to this far remote place in Guerrero, the southern state of Mexico. It's there's lots of poverty there, and we were taken there to see if we could make a living there. And you know what they do there, or they used to do it, I think they still do it, is they grow lots of you wish it would be sugar cane. No, drugs. And I was actually working doing that when I was 7 or 8 years old. And really, I know how to do that. I learned. So I might have been a drug lord, maybe a little drug lord, but you know, that was a possibility for my life. See, so that was not good it's not good for anything, or not for somebody's life. Fortunately, or unfortunately, I don't know, we were taken back to Morelos, another southern state in Mexico, and because somebody thought, I don't even know who, but somebody thought that was not a good life for us. So we were taken back to Morelos, another state, and we stayed there with aunts and uncles. But anyway, there I still had to make a living, so I used to shine shoes. I used to sell lemons in the market, informal selling, stuff like that. Anyway, and that was my life. I don't know what would have been of me if I had continued in that direction. Fortunately, and this time very fortunately, my grandmother learned about the pequeños, so they took us to the orphanage, and that's when I met Father Watson. I was really scared because in my life I had never seen somebody so white. No, seriously. In southern Mexico, of course, in the places where I had lived, there were only brownies like me. You know? So, anyway, I came to the Pequeños, and of course, I was a little child, and when I was 10, I found a bill. Somebody dropped a bill in our house in the Pequeños now, and I think there's somebody here who was with me, Hugo Galvan, somewhere. Is over there. What we did together, we went and bought alcohol. We bought alcohol and we got drunk. Actually, I got really drunk. It was not so drunk, but you know, we It was, so you can see the trend I was following, you know, drugs first, then. Anyway, I was never, this is the important part about my story. I was never concerned about being kicked out of the Pequeños. That was my family. That was the unconditional love I was starting to talk to you about. Father Watson was there. Back there, it was 1973, 74, yeah? So, a long time ago, and Father Watson was very close to us. He was like a real father. He used to hug us, not only touch our heads like they said, no, he was there to hug us, to help us eat. Sister Filomena was there also, and Fidelis. You know, I was a true family. I lived that part. Of course, I have other stories where I got scolded, I had spanked sometimes by Father Watson directly, you know, because he wanted to make us good citizens, good person, good people. And I'm so thankful about all of that, but there was always this unconditional love. I always felt that I had a family and that I would always be there, you know. In the end, or not the end, I went on, I studied, I went to college. Actually, Mr. Kraft helped with the bills for my college tuition and college room and board. I graduated from school, then I went back to Mexico. I got a real good job thanks to the English and thanks to the college degree. I have worked for several multinational companies. I've been, this time I've been for 12 years already with this German pharmaceutical company, so still drugs. Just to finish, because I'm sure I went over the 2 minutes. My true success, or the true living the spirit of Father Watson is, I think I have become a good citizen. I'm the CFO for this German company. I have a beautiful family, my wife and my 2 daughters there. Aren't they beautiful? And so I'm proud I became a good citizen. And I think that's what Father Watson would have wanted.
We're going to break for lunch. I just want to show you something. Probably you would never guess in a million years that when you look at this, you're looking at the Cathedral of Port-au-Prince, destroyed in the earthquake. We started bringing food down to the people that live in all the rubble and ruins of the cathedral, and I noticed all the broken glass, and I said, collect this for me and we'll come back twice a week. And I have sacks of this glass. And we've taken the smashed windows of the cathedral, and since they can't be in a window anymore, we put them on a mirror. The light hits it and still comes through again, so that the faith of the cathedral speaks again in the form of a cross victorious. So I think Frank's example, for example, of what good came out of, we say in the church, felix culpa, oh happy fault. You know, the good that God brings out of bad and the good that God brings out of difficult, when the pieces are put together in a new way by someone who doesn't just leave them on the floor, this is what working with providence means, working hand in hand with providence. Obedience to providence, it's the biggest of all the obedience. When it's difficult, you accept that it's difficult, you turn to providence. And providence won't make it not difficult, providence will make it end a different way. This is how it is. Michael Maccabee is fond of saying, from the old Jewish rabbis, you can stir a bucket of mud for eternity and it'll still stay a bucket of mud. And that whole time you could have been stringing pearls for God. This is it. So the obedience to providence is the obedience to what providence wants for all people, and the determination to make it happen, no matter how difficult the suffering, no matter how huge the obstacles, no matter how difficult the odds, struggling to make it happen. It's happened for 50-some years now, and as you can see, it's still happening today, thanks to you and thanks to all of us. Enjoy your lunch. When you come back, I'll introduce Father Pedro Arteaga to you, who will be sharing reflections.